and start with the most notorious, hemlock. I'm sure it grows here. People have told me it grows here, but I can't find it. And quite conspicuous. Has anybody seen it growing? No.
They all look alike, that's the problem.
Well, this one, we can distinguish hemlock because it's covered in little red dots all up the stem. And it's the only one that has these red dots. And red dots on anything always seems to be a warning sign, isn't it? This was the herb which famously killed Socrates, or was used to kill Socrates. And it was at that time, in ancient Rome, the poison of choice for the condemned. And coniine is a neurotoxin, but what it does, it paralyses the body, starting with the extremities and kind of working its way up until it gets to the circulatory system. And the whole time, the brain is completely conscious and completely alert. So you can just sort of feel this paralysis setting in, knowing that you're going to die, but with this completely conscious brain. So plenty of time to repent. Most deaths from hemlock now are from mistaken identity. There are so many other littles, yes, it is hard to tell them apart. And so, you might pick it thinking that it's wild celery or one of the many safe ones to eat, especially when it's quite young, quite small. Or by children who might pick it and use the whistle to hollow stems, and so they've got it up to their mouth. There's quite a few tragic stories of children being poisoned with hemlock. But, question of dose. In the right dose, very, very useful antispasmodic. It's an antidote to strychnine poisoning or any kind of convulsive state where the muscles are in spasm. So tetanus, rabies, all of these things, hemlock makes a very useful antidote. And again for asthma. But the problem with hemlock, with quite a lot of these ones actually, is that the toxic dose and the therapeutic dose, they're a bit too close. There's not much room for error. Now this one suddenly appeared in my garden this summer. I don't know where it came from. And it's called fool's parsley. And it said that you would be a fool indeed to eat this. And it does look, the leaves look very much like parsley, so it is one, very easy to make mistakes. But you can recognise it when it's like this, these long, so one of the only ones that has these long scraps coming down. But because it's got this deeply grooved stem, it's very easy to mistake it with a young plant to, especially wild celery. But yes, neurotoxins which are fatal. All the hedges coming down from the top down, they're all lined with yew hedges. And some of them are so old. Some yew trees are 4,000 years old in this country, which is fantastic. Of course, you often find them growing in churchyards, but most of the time they predate the churches. It was very much a sacred herb or sacred tree of the Druids, and be grown, planted in sacred groves. And when the Christians came along, they just superimposed the churches on the old site, and so that's why a lot of the yews are there now in the churches. And it's a tree that's always been very connected to death, to rebirth, and the afterlife. and as a protection against evil. It's all poisonous. Although a friend of mine does eat the red fleshy part of the berries, but not the seeds. But yes, the bark, the needles, the seed, it is really all poisonous. And it causes muscular tremors and staggering and convulsions, breathing difficulties before you collapse and die. And death here is from heart failure. A lot of them, especially the solanaceae ones, it's from respiratory failure. This one is from the heart. So powerful cardiac toxins which are absorbed very quickly, and apparently there's no treatment for it. There's no antidote. And of course Shakespeare speaks of yew as being the double death. And the tight-grained yew trees made the fantastic longbows. And then the arrows would be tipped with yew sap. So that's where the idea of double death, I think it was in Richard III. But sadly it took the bark of 6 yew trees to treat one patient. So not very effective. But then, luckily, it was found that a precursor to Taxol was in the clippings. So they can collect all the clippings and make this precursor, and then they can make the Taxol in the laboratory. So thank goodness for the yew trees. So if any of you have yew trees growing in your garden, when you trim them, you don't really want the clippings kept around in the garden. There are plenty of companies that would be more than happy to come and take it away. And maybe contact the council and find out, who there is locally that would do that. Plants of the heart. Digitalis purpurea, foxglove. Again with this one, the toxic dose and therapeutic dose are very close. But of course, the main active ingredient of foxglove, digoxin, has become a lifesaver for a lot of people. Too much, it causes vomiting, visual disturbance, headache, drowsiness, and ultimately cardiac failure. But in the right dose, it is an amazing drug, the digoxin. I mean, as a whole plant, it's fantastic, but not really used so much as a whole plant, but as a digoxin. It strengthens the heart. It's used for an old, failing heart, where the heart is racing, it's really fast, and it's not working effectively. There's no rest time, and so the heart's having to really work fast. And the pulse is racing. And what it does, it increases the amount of calcium into the heart muscle. So the muscle can pump better, and then there's relaxing time. And so it reduces the heart rate and just improves dramatically the cardiac functioning of the heart. It's also diuretic, so it reduces the volume of the blood. So all round it has this hugely beneficial action on the heart. They tried synthesizing digoxin, but found that it just wasn't as good as from the actual plant. It's not actually the purpurea which they now use, it's a European foxglove, Digitalis lanata, and it's grown commercially to produce digoxin. I don't know why they're not the purpurea, maybe there's more digoxin than the other one. It's also been found, rather oddly, that people on digoxin don't seem to get cancer. No idea where that link comes from, really. Worth looking into, but I don't know.